All right, good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County. It's time for Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks here, and Margie Bradford is on special assignment still this week. She will return next Wednesday here on Bradford and Brooks. We're not doing candidate interviews, so we've done weeks of those, but we won't be doing more candidate interviews until closer to the fall election. So that's probably a relief to many of our listeners who are tired of politics. But we are going to go back to our regular schedule of interviews with people in the community. And I thought it would be appropriate this morning to talk to Samantha Brady. Samantha is Executive Director, and I'm going to use the abbreviated title of Bardstown Tourism.
That works.
Because I think, I could probably spit out the long title. But Samantha, we have had a very busy weekend and a very unique weekend for Bardstown and Nelson County this weekend. Probably
the most unique I've ever had in probably the last 15 years of my career.
Well, I will tell you, we're talking about the Gumball rally that took place Monday. And Samantha, I will tell you that now, I was at the Memorial Day observance at the city cemetery at 11, and so I came into town about 10, and I was driving in from Louisville Road, out where I live, and there were people with their lawn chairs and their little 10x10 shades setting up along Louisville Road at the end of their driveways waiting for the Gumball rally cars to come.
There absolutely was.
I was surprised. I'm like, I didn't know the route they were taking, but apparently they did.
Well, they were supposed to take the Bardstown Road route, but I don't think they did. I don't think they took that route exactly like we thought they would.
Right.
Some of them took 245 because that's kind of what they had told us at first, but then they ended up kind of taking that 245 route on some of them. Right. So they probably got a peek at some of the cars, but not all of them.
Well, I will tell you that now I was in town till about 1. And so I thought, well, I'll probably miss most of the cars. But when I'm at the light at 245 in Louisville Road, there's about probably the last group or one of the last groups of cars pulls up from Louisville Road at the light, and all sorts of exotic cars. And I mean, you can't miss seeing these cars.
No.
So honestly, I'm a fan. So I blew the horn and waved and got waves back and. I think they were appreciative of, anybody's welcome to town. But this also had to be an experience for all the participants, too. I think Bardstown's probably one of the smaller towns that the Gumball rally's ever stopped at.
It is the smallest town the Gumball has probably ever stopped at. But from every person that we talked to on that rally, which there was 140 cars in total that came to Bardstown and got out and went and ate at Mammy's restaurant, and that means about 200 to 300 people came in out of those cars. I mean, they're tiny cars, so they can fit one and maybe another person in there, unless they have one of the bigger vehicles, right. And they could fit a couple. But every single one of them that we talked to was so impressed with Bardstown. It felt so good to get that recognition, and especially since they could have picked anywhere in the world to have stopped, and they picked us, which is pretty dang cool.
Absolutely. And the photos and things from downtown was packed.
I don't think I've ever seen that many people.
Well, the only thing that would come close, I think, was the Christmas parade this year. Because they were that packed as well, but it was a little warmer temperatures, a little nicer weather.
Yeah, I would estimate we had anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 people. I've never seen a crowd like that. I've been doing events for a lot of years. Wow. I have never seen that before. So people really showed up for this, and I think that's what they look for. That's the visuals that they want for this Gumball rally. Sure. It's great content for them, and I know that one of the guys that does their creative content said, wow, we're going to have a lot of content from here because this was the best stop. They really were saying that we were the best stop.
Wow.
And they stopped at some pretty amazing cities. Of course, that's
Yeah.
before they hit Nashville, so we don't even know anything after that.
Right.
But at the bigger checkpoints, they do big parties. I don't think we'd ever be able to have those just because of infrastructure stuff in town, unless they had it somewhere else other than downtown.
Right.
But it was pretty neat that every single person we talked to just raved over Bardstown. CeeLo Green said, and he sings that song "Forget You." If you don't know who it is, he is the nicest guy. He went over and he ate at Mammy's Kitchen. They sent him home with a bunch of leftovers because he said he never had chicken like that before in his life, and so they sent him with a bunch of leftovers. And I even think he might have went for a distillery tour, but he actually nudged somebody next to him. He said, What did I say when I pulled into this town? And the guy said, you said, I would like to live here, and this would be a place I'd want to live. And so we hear that all the time, but hearing that from celebrities who could live anywhere in the world, so I believe he'll be back. I think he's going to come back. I think he's a big fan of Bardstown. There were several celebrities that told us that they were enamored with how Bardstown looked and how beautiful it was, and at our hospitality. How everybody welcomed them and hugged them and told them, welcome to Bardstown. I think it was just enough, not too much, for them. And I think they were very impressed.
Well, who were some of the celebrities that who were here?
David Hasselhoff, we had him. Ken Griffey Jr., he was big. Bun B. Some of these people I had to look up. Like Dead Mouse is what they call him, and he's like some kind of big DJ. And a lot of them were YouTube influencers.
Okay.
And so that is really not my expertise, so I couldn't even name them if I wanted to. But there were some big influencers, which is why we agreed to partner with them, was we really knew this was going to get us some international coverage and domestic coverage, both.
Right.
I mean, this is one of those things that if you attach to, you're definitely going to get something out of it, and we did. We got coverage from everywhere. So
Well, I know that I think, of course, all the Louisville media were all over it. Though I saw a headline on I won't say the station's name there, but it kind of made me laugh. Being a former copy editor and newspaper person who's written lots of headlines and made lots of mistakes writing headlines, they had the Gumball rally spelled Gumble. And I thought,
Ooh, somebody messed up, yeah.
but it was right in the story. So, but anyway, I felt for that person because I'm sure they're going to be.
I mean, stuff happens.
Yeah, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But yesterday the weather was beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
You couldn't have asked for a better. Better weather. I mean, not yesterday, but I'm saying Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Weather was beautiful, and anyway, it just looks like everybody had a great time, and I don't know, that you can't buy that kind of publicity, I think.
No, you cannot, which is exactly why we hands down said we are doing this no matter what. I mean, they found us. They looked for a stop between Indianapolis and Nashville, but they were looking at several stops, and they weren't sure if they were going to choose Bardstown. And then they came from Maximilian Cooper, which is a big-time celebrity, came in. We showed him around. We took him to Mammy's. We took him to the Tavern, Scout and Scholar, several different places. And he had already kind of looked at some, but he wanted to see the inside of a few. And so he chose Mammy's to host all their guests. And then that allowed the other restaurants to be able to serve anybody in town, which was really, really good, that came to see the cars. But I mean, people were so impressed with Mammy's. They couldn't stop talking about the fried chicken that she made. And let me tell you, Christy hand fried all that chicken for like 300 people.
Wow.
She was not going to give them anything less than what she does best, which is home cooking. And she made it work, and I'm so proud of her because they had rave reviews. I mean, every single one of them. And he wanted quintessential Southern cooking.
Well, that's that's where you go.
Yeah, but I honestly think they chose us because they got such a warm welcome from us, and we helped them. We worked with them so closely, and I think they knew that it would be easy for them to work with us. And so I have to give a lot of attention and props to my team, who like took their Memorial Day weekend and because I mean it didn't just happen on that day. It was leading up to that. It was a lot of work. I've been working with them for 2 years, but a special shout out to Stacy Phelps on my team. She played an integral role in this, and I'm so lucky to have her. So I always want to give credit where credit's due, and I have one amazing team, but the Bardstown Chamber helped that day, and oh my gosh, Main Street, without them we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. The police department, the fire department, the sheriff's office, the mayor's office, everybody really helped to pull together to pull this in. NPR Manufacturing sponsored the trolley that went back and forth to the parking lots.
Right.
That was really cool.
Oh, and that was a stroke of genius because, now my wife didn't make it, but she was planning on it, and then just knowing there were off location parking places in a trolley. It's like I can see this happening more and more, because parking around downtown for any event downtown really it's tough.
It really is tough. And I think that we're going to start to have to think outside of the box because we are getting bigger. We're getting more attention. We still want to keep our beautiful small town America small, but we also want to have some of the cool events like we had the other day. So there's a balance there, I think. Because what makes us cool is that we're small town America, and that's what drove them to us, because these people are from big cities, some of them from London, England, some of them were from Canada. So seeing small town America like they got to see was very impressive to them. And I think it gave them a taste of something they want to see again. And a lot of them didn't know that we were the bourbon capital of the world, but trust me, my team, every single person that hit this, every single person that got out of that car got a welcome to the bourbon capital of the world, Bardstown, Kentucky. And so they knew that they were in the bourbon capital of the world. And then they'd look at you and you'd say, Jim Beam, Heaven Hill, and like name these off, Willett, and you'd start to name them off, and then they were engaged, and all of a sudden they were very interested in what we had to offer.
So you said that there may have been some that took distillery tours.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if their timeline was they had to leave and they had to go straight to Nashville. That
was it, but we heard of one celebrity that actually, I guess probably, I don't know how he worked that out, but he did. He went to a distillery, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's how much he loved it. And there were several, and then some of the people just, for lack of better words, have a lot of money. And that's how they got these cars. And, they're kind of socialite people. And every single one of them said they were not expecting Bardstown to be the stop that it was. And they were surprised, pleasantly surprised. So I think we showed up. I think we did a great job at welcoming them.
Well, and then I know that I think on the East and West Flagey, you had food trucks available.
We did. We had food trucks. They sold out.
Is that right?
Yeah, wow. They kept saying that they thought that there was 30,000 people. I feel like that they felt like that there was 30,000. I don't think there was. There might have been. I would guesstimate up to 20,000 people. It would be my guess if I looked at it. But they kept saying it had to be 30,000 people. We heard that from a couple food trucks. And then, we haven't had a chance to really talk to our restaurants. We're hoping that our stores did good. We know it was packed downtown, and they might not, but at least we were open, so if somebody did want to come in and check them out, they could. Right. So I think that was good. You want to come to an open downtown.
Right. Well, I wasn't sure how I'd heard, drips and drabs of this restaurant will be open, et cetera, and I wasn't sure how downtown would be.
I know Scout and Scholar was packed. like packed solid.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to talk to the other restaurants, but I know they were even packed the day before. We got tons of tourists out of this, stayed overnight to come see this. So that was really great. And we promoted it a couple months in advance. We promoted it kind of itinerary based and showed them that, hey, you could do this, this, and this day. You could do this the next day, eat breakfast over here the next day, and just kind of showed them an itinerary. And it worked. We had a lot of people stay overnight. And so it was just a win. It really was.
Well, I know for the weekend, the place was the downtown was busy, and I will tell you that now I'm with the Whiskey City Cruisers. We had probably one of the largest gatherings out there on Saturday that we'd ever had.
I saw that.
And then there were so many spectators just coming to look. Of course, it's a family weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Time to get out, and of course, a nice free event like that with nearly 200 cars. So we had all sorts of people, and there were all sorts of. Now I've been going for a while, and one of the things, those of us who go most of the time, somebody will say, "Well, I haven't seen that car before." Well, there was a lot of those people coming from other communities.
Absolutely.
To the event. So anyway, and while I was there on Saturday, I saw it had to be probably an organizer, somebody with the Gumball rally. It looked like, I don't know, some sort of exotic car came by with stickers and whatever, the fancy paint job. They were just alone, and I thought, well, that must be some of the advanced people, maybe, I guess. I don't know. But
right.
It certainly wasn't a commuter Chevy.
No.
Like,
No. I mean, some of these cars were worth, upwards of $3.3 million.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these are cars that we made. And, I talked to one of the guys that was driving the car, and he said, is this correct that some of these people have never seen cars like this? And I said, no, we have never seen cars like this. I said, I can tell you my personal experience. I've traveled a lot. I've never seen cars like this. Mm-hmm. And so I think that they were kind of in awe that people were so excited to see these cars. I think in some of the bigger cities, they get that exposure sometimes to things like that. But here in rural areas, we don't really get to see those. So it's a big treat for us to get to see that.
Yeah, well, overall, I guess you would have. It could be nothing but a big win for Bardstown and Nelson County.
I feel like that's the case. We think it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing, but I think they were so impressed. A couple of the organizers said, I think we're going to be back one day to Bardstown.
Of course, I'm sure that's dependent on whatever route, but I think the next time they have a route that comes near here, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if I think they probably give us a break a year or two and then come back probably, because they try to shift that route up.
Yeah.
But I think they were so impressed with Bardstown that I don't think they usually do that. And they let us do a lot of things they don't usually do. They promoted us on their website, which they don't typically do smaller stops on their website, but they promoted us on their website, which was crazy that they did that. But we formed such a bond and a friendship because I've been talking to them for 2 years.
Right.
And then we worked with them, Stacy worked with them very closely the last several months. And so we stayed on top of everything that they needed, and I think we were just easy to work with. And I think when you do those things, people want to come back.
Well, I think among the participants, we'll probably see, sounds like we're going to see some return visitors.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we heard that everywhere. Some of the people from London said, we will be back. The crew that we hosted the night before, they came in, they set up all the bike racks, so they travel all over, and they have their own jobs. Most of them were from London, England, and they have their own jobs at home, different things. One of them was like a computer person, so there's all kinds of different things. But the night before, we hosted them at Scout and Scholar, and we had appetizers for them, and they had a great time at Scout and Scholar. Loved Scout and Scholar, and then they ended up going to Logstill and Dant Crossing for the AMP concert.
Yeah.
So we got them into the AMP concert, and they got to do a little bit of VIP, and they said never before had anybody ever hosted them like that.
Wow.
And those are the things that they'll remember forever. And they were talking about coming back for Bourbon Festival. And I said, you know what? You come back for Bourbon Festival, we'll hook you up with something cool to do.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that we are going to get a ton of visitors, not only from London, England, and from all over the world, but also regional. I think people came back to Bardstown, maybe didn't know what we had to offer, and gave them a peek back into who we are now. So I think that's a good thing as well.
All right. Well, and in that in post-pandemic world, I mean, we've seen it with the Whiskey City Cruisers. People are ready to get out. People want to travel, and to have something like this on our back door. It was close to all the major cities in Kentucky, and I'm sure we had people from out of state here as well.
Oh, yeah. They were from all over. And, the Whiskey City Cruisers are awesome. I mean, they have been doing that for years, coming around the courthouse, and people love to see that. That is such a beautiful picture in downtown to see that. And so I think this kind of opened our eyes a little bit. We are going to lead with bourbon because bourbon is our brand, right? It's just like Lexington Horses is their brand. However, we want to be a little more than that as well. So I think this was a good eye-opener of bringing some other events, not only for the community, but also for visitors. And so I think that you're going to see more things like this in the future.
All right. Well, Samantha, we're going to take a break here in just a minute. Thank you for taking time to come in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
This was such I wasn't aware, I should have known. I wasn't aware you'd been working on it over a couple of years now. But all your hard work and all that advanced work has paid off.
We are just glad that everybody came and showed up.
Well, we couldn't have had a more beautiful day for it. And, and everything seemed to have gone well, and the crowds were appreciative, I believe.
Well, good. I hope so.
All right. We've been talking to Samantha Brady, the Executive Director of the Bardstown Nelson County Tourist and Convention Commission. I think that's close.
You got it.
Okay. All right. I had to do it once.
You got it.
All right. Well, thank you again, Samantha. And we're going to take a break for some messages. We'll be back with more after this. Please stay tuned. All right. You're back with Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford is on special assignment this week. She will be back next Wednesday here and the team will be complete once again. And she'll have a full report on the work she's been doing. All right, we'll look forward to that. All right, we thank Samantha for coming in from the Tourist Commission to talk about the Gumball Rally. I don't think we could have had better weather for such an event, and I think the community in Bardstown and Nelson County will reap the benefits of participating in that event for months and years to come as far as publicity goes. All right, well, we're going to switch gears a little bit here. My next guest is Richard Hardin. And Richard, you and I know each other through a couple of different ways, but mostly through political conversations.
That's correct, Jim. It's been a privilege, too.
And sometimes we're not the most popular guys in the room,
I hear you, buddy. I hear you. I hear you.
All right, but today we're going to talk a little bit about gun control, because it seems like every time there's a mass shooting tragedy, like we've had in Texas, and then I think there were some incidents elsewhere, the politicians like to talk about gun control. And I've one column I read this morning said that in the emotional aftermath of such a tragedy, it's probably not the best time to look at making policy. Let cooler heads prevail. But that seems to be when it comes up the most, and there's calls for doing away with just all sorts, doing away with guns, doing away with assault weapons, and various different strategies. And politicians tend to pay a lot of lip service, Richard, in my book, to gun control, and it seems like a lot of times what ends up happening doesn't amount to a whole lot as far as preventing these tragedies. And then there's always the debate about how do you prevent somebody from legally buying a weapon and ammunition, and acting and killing people. So there's no real easy answers here, Richard. At least from my perspective, I thought you'd give your thoughts on gun control and what would work or what wouldn't work.
Jim, I'm probably one of the most conservative people in Nelson County. I've been involved with a lot of campaigns from with Senator Mitch McConnell to President Trump, Governor Bevins, and a lot others. But this is just not an overnight issue that's came up.
No.
This has been going on for some time. And every time they get the old pig out of the hog lot and they put lipstick on her and dress her up, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then my opinion is that the NRA, with their influence of money and everything, have scared a lot of good people who hold public office that they will go up against them and defeat them with their money and with their power that they feel like they have. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have, that why we can't get rid of military-style weapons in this country.
Well, Richard, why? Now, I shared one of my theories on why military-style weapons are. And let's be specific. Now, you can call something an assault rifle, but that's just a name.
Yeah.
Military style would include weapons that would allow you to have additional magazines or clips to fire multiple rounds.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, a prior military. I never did handle a weapon in the Navy. Okay, other than a handgun, but I think anything that shoots over 6 rounds is an assault rifle.
Mm-hmm.
You do, the thing that gets me is, I got guns in my home. I got one for protection, but I do not see, and I know me and you right now sitting here in God's country and hunters and gun people. You do not need an assault rifle to go hunting. You don't need an assault rifle to go deer hunting or anything else. When we were growing up, you just had a single barrel shotgun or you had a pump or something, and that's what you did. But I feel like we were talking earlier that this really spiraled out of control back into the 90s when Waco took place in Ruby Ridge, that people became extremely fearful of the government, that they felt like they needed to get their hands on these type of assault rifles because they were afraid that troops out of these black helicopters were going to come and take them away. And that's furthest from the truth. And I think half of the problems that we have and the reasons why these mass shootings are not only taking place in school, but look what happened up in Buffalo, New York, and other places. Out in California at that church, is because of fear and ignorance. I truly feel that. And if we don't correct those problems, I don't know where we're heading. I really don't.
Well, of course, those military-style weapons, assault rifles, whatever you want to call them, they're legal to own, just like the 22 Marlin I have at home.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody who hunts with one. I'm sure there's some who might, but a lot of the now I'm speaking for the family members that I know. A couple of family members have the AR style. And you can get an AR style 22.
That's right.
That's
right.
Because it's really the style that it's attractive.
Yeah.
It looks menacing. People like the look, but when those weapons can also be used for other than just enjoying plinking or hunting, then that's now you could do the same with. A 307 or, a 22 for that matter, but you're not going to be able to fire.
Somebody's going to get their hands on you quicker.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
But, the thing that I guess the saddest of all of this is we got parents out there that goes to work every day. They have enough to deal with with gas prices, paying their and just everyday life. They do not need to worry that an 18-year-old young man can go out and buy an AR-15 or what AK-47 or whatever, and their children are in school. Okay, I listened to President Trump's speech to the NRA the other day, and we have turned our schools, I was telling you earlier, I feel like into prisons. I got 2 grandchildren that goes here in the county, the elementary school, and when you hear the door close, it sounds just like prison doors closing. I remember when we was going to school, Jim, doors were wide open, windows wide open, and there was no fear of anything. But it's just, we have become a society that no longer respects life. I told you earlier, my belief on that is started back in the early 70s when we started killing, of course, that's my opinion, babies in the womb. We have lost our respect for the human being. And young people this day and time, they have been raised in that culture. And when you can they think as a toy, it's a game that they can go out. You know, it's just simply, somebody says, well, we simply have got to get these, I'm a nobody just like anybody else out here. I can't do anything to stop it. All I can say is this: we got to get these guns off the streets. We got to get them. We got to get them out of people's hands that are going to cause us these nightmares for families, like what happened in Texas.
Right. Well, you know it, and that's the problem. There are millions out there already.
Absolutely.
And I think it's fair to say, Richard, that every time there's a mass shooting, sales go through the roof.
Yeah. The fear that the government's going to step in.
Right.
We were talking earlier about the Second Amendment and people's total ignorance of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was created out of what was the English Bill of Rights of 1689. Right. People don't understand that. It was to stop foreign government. It was to give militia groups the opportunity to arm themselves to stop the invasion of foreign armies.
Right.
That, with the Navy we have today and the military we have, I don't think we have to worry about that anymore. But people have come so fearful of our own government.
Right.
I mean, politicians and others from both sides, liberal or conservative, they have scared people to death. They have scared them of the truth. And that's the whole problem. People don't know the truth.
Well, Richard, you know, I think Mitch McConnell, I mean, we've heard people in Congress talk about, well, you know, let's get together, you know, both sides, both parties, and see what sort of bipartisan measures we can put together. But, you know, in addition to having the weapons available, you know, our culture has changed so much.
Hasn't it?
And when you think about, and I know I probably sound like people who remember Tipper Gore complaining about music and songs.
I hear you.
I will tell you the video games that my kids had to play. You know, I mean, Grand Theft Auto was a favorite of mine, but man, was it violent.
Yeah.
And if you played that thing all day, you know, shooting and killing becomes
absolutely,
you know, second nature, and you're desensitized to it.
That's correct. That's what we were talking about when we no longer respect life. You know, another thing that's going to solve all this too, Jim, and people say, well, you're a religious fanatic and all that. No, I'm furthest from that. People who know me know that. But, you know, the scriptures tell us if we turn from our wicked ways, he would heal our lands. And, you know, people have got, I'm not saying, you know, I am saying that they need to turn to a higher being for comfort and for guidance, because we have the power to stop all this within ourselves. Whether we do it or not, that's beyond the point. I mean, you're going to, like you said, if we sit there and let our children sit in a video game all day playing because it becomes their babysitter, I mean, what are we expecting? What's coming out of the line? It's just the last 2 mass shootings were 2 18-year-old young men. They wasn't lunatics.
No.
I detest what the politician says when they call them lunatics. They're not. They're 18-year-old kids.
Right.
You know?
Right. And, you know, I don't know. You know, I can see if you look at some of the video games kids play for hours on end, it desensitizes you to violence, to gun violence, and I'm not saying ban video games. I just think that I'm kind of of the mind, Richard, that one way to raise the limit, the age limit on purchasing guns.
I couldn't agree more.
To at least 21.
Yeah, I'd go further than that. I mean, we were talking earlier about psychologist says that the maturity of young men isn't until about 27 to 30. Those are the ones that seem like has the issues that wants to go out and commit violence. I don't have a bit of problem of raising. I mean, they can't buy alcohol now until they're 21. Why are we letting them buy guns at 18?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let's jack the age up. Let's get it up to 27, 30.
Now, in some states, I think it's at least 21.
Okay.
Because I heard some debate about that because somebody couldn't believe that you could be 18 and buy the weapon and ammunition because that seems young.
Yeah.
And it does.
Well, parents go out and buy it for them. I know parents that go out and buy these assault type weapons for teenage boys and stuff and their families and I don't want to put a guilt trip on a parent, but let your conscience be your guide because you never know what's going to turn somebody to do what they did. Who would ever dream that the young man down in Texas would shoot his grandmother, then go kill a bunch of babies in school?
Right. Right. It begs the question: what will be effective? And I think that at some point you have to say that I don't know the President Clinton's assault weapons ban. I don't know if that was effective or not. I heard it wasn't very effective, but there's a culture problem, and I think my father and his brothers were raised and trained how to. They went squirrel hunting with their dad, and they were trained how to use a weapon and how to respect it, and I think that if you're not, today we don't, people don't unless you're raised out in the country, you don't get that sort of upbringing to respect guns and how to operate them.
Well, I listen to a lot of people talk about the criminals will have the guns and stuff like that. We look and we see inner cities like Chicago and others where there's constant 15, 20 killings a night and everything.
Right.
But you're right there to your point. These children are living in a culture that they're looking for a family. My wife was telling me not too long ago about a lady telling about a young man. He was at U of L where he was disfigured, where they shot him so many times, these gang members did, as initiation. These young men and women are looking for family-type setting, and they will do whatever it takes because we don't have daddies no longer at home raising their boys or girls, and we have mamas who has to do whatever's got to do to take care of their home, working, and everything else.
Sure.
So they're more or less raising themselves, and other kids are helping them along.
Right. Right.
No.
But there's lots of factors, I think, that the guns and availability is just one part of it.
Oh yeah. But it's the thing that I feel the most strong is about, that we have to do something to slow it down, even if we have to, like I was telling you earlier, when Barack Obama's war on coal, when he shut the coal industry down, do we have to go after the ammunition, the people who makes the shells and the ammunition? Do we have to declare war on them to where they have to stop making this? I mean, sooner or later they're going to run out of shells. We may not get the guns, but we can at least slow this nightmare down.
Well, if you can't get ammunition for it, then they're But but of course, as I mentioned before, they make AR style 22 rifles.
Absolutely, buddy. I mean, I couldn't agree more.
Where do you go after the style of the gun or the features? If you you can still do a lot of damage with the 22 if you've got a 30 rounds in it.
It's a great debate. The only sad part is it going to die again in 2 or 3 weeks until another shooting takes place?
Right.
And then we all go, When this madness going to stop?
Right.
And we had this discussion again. That's the problem. We can't let this die. We have to do something. If it's just something little, everything little can, all the little things become one big thing, and we can make it happen. I truly believe that.
Well, Richard, you're probably one of the few conservatives in Nelson County who would consider themselves any sort of advocate for gun control, other than, gun control being how well you aim the weapon down range.
Well, like I said, Jim, my wife told me earlier, said we done lost a whole lot of friends over some other issues. We're going to lose a few more, I'd say. So.
Well, I don't know. Being a Trump supporter and now a conservative who supports gun control, you're a rare bird.
No, I always called myself a Richard Nixon Republican.
Okay.
But the thing is this, is whether you're conservative or not, I'm a grandfather. Right. I got 2 grandbabies that go to school over there, and I watch these children, and not just my grandchildren, but all these other children. And they should enjoy their youth. They should enjoy their life and everything else. We were talking about going to the Gumball rally, and both of us says that this is the perfect place. Somebody can just open up and start shooting. We should not have to live in a culture society where we think that when we go to a major event or something, that we have to watch to see if somebody, just starts shooting. No.
That's true. Well, Richard, where do we need to look for leadership on this? I know that members of Congress are talking about it a lot. Is that where we need to look, or do we need to look at the grassroots?
Grassroots. I think we got a great, new state representative that's going to be representing us. Maybe she, as a mother and an Air Force veteran, Candy can grab the bull by the horns right off and say, hey, we got to do something. I'm a mom. I want my children and other people's children. I told you earlier, one of the reasons Republicans are behind the 8 ball is because mothers have had enough of this painting the pig lipstick. They want their children, they want their families protected and taken care of. Right. And that's half of the success of people winning elections. President Biden is a perfect example of that. And I'm not a big fan of his whatsoever, that. But the thing is this, we have to do something on the grassroots level to get control of this, and I think she would be a prime example. We got 2 gentlemen that's running for county judge. Where are they? Why haven't they spoke up, Mr. Hutchins or Mr. Shelburne? We got people who's running for magistrate. Where they stand. Are they afraid that they're going to lose votes? Have they sold their soul because they're worried about a vote? Are they worried about money? I'd much rather lay down at night, Jim, knowing that I got a good conscience of how I believe than sold my soul to somebody else. Right. That's one of the reasons President Trump got elected. He did not sell himself out to the special interests. So.
Right. All right. Well, Richard, we're just about down to the wire. And let's see.
I'm proud of you, Jim, for having this discussion, but it's not a popular one.
No, it's not. But it's certainly timely. And it's something I think we needed to have. And after I'd got your text message, I thought, today's the day to do it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
All right. Next week's Bradford and Brooks, Margie will be back with us. And we'll have, let's see. We're going to have Matt Lehman. He's a Democratic candidate for 4th District Congress, and he'll be running against Massey in the 4th Congressional District here in Kentucky. But he'll be on the ballot opposing him, and he'll be in town Friday night at the Democratic dinner out at Maywood if you want to hear him speak. All right, that's it. We'll see you next week for another Bradford and Brooks.